But sometimes stuck in the middle, it's so difficult. Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. And I think I've tried to walk that line in a really good and delicate way, especially as I'm not even a citizen of the United States of America. Just in case anyone you didn't get it from my accent. Friends, I tell you, on November the 4th, I want to get out there and vote, but I can't. And sisters and brothers, I want to just say this one more time from this pulpit. If you don't vote, if you have the right to vote in this country and you don't use that right to vote, then you cannot complain on November the 5th about what happens to the United States of America. And if you don't know what to vote for, and you want to take my vote to the ballot box, you come and ask me, and I'll do that not as Reverend Neil Thomas, but just as Neil Thomas, who wants to help you out.
All right.
Stuck in the middle.
All right.
It's been so tempting. I'm sure Jesus felt stuck in the middle that day when they said to him, "Is it right to pay taxes to Caesar?" Sisters and brothers, people say to me, Reverend Neil, you shouldn't really mix politics and religion from the pulpit, but when I look at the life of Jesus, that's all I see him doing. I don't see him as partisan politics. I don't see him as taking one side or telling people what to do, but I do see Jesus in every word and every action of his life. I see him being political. I see Jesus working with the people on the margins of society. I see Jesus raising women up. I see Jesus moving amongst those who were disenfranchised and touching lepers and touching people that the religious authorities said wasn't right to touch. I see Jesus going to the well in the middle of the day with a woman who was even ostracized by the women of his town, and sitting with that woman and hearing her life story. And Jesus not judging the woman for the situation that she found herself in, but offering that woman new hope. Offering that woman a second chance. Actually, for her, it was probably a 20-second chance. But Jesus didn't judge. He just offered his arm of friendship and said, there is another way of living. There's another way of doing. There's another way of being. And that's what Jesus offers us this morning as friends of this community and as people who try to live out justice and peace and equality for all. Jesus offers us to say it's our chance to step up and to say that there is another way of living. Stuck in the middle. Sometimes I think that this scripture is the one that we use that reminds us or tells us somehow that money is dirty. We hold up this scripture, and Jesus didn't want to talk about money. He said, pay taxes to Caesar and give to God. And so we assume that money doesn't belong to God. The reality is that when I actually look at this scripture, what I hear Jesus saying to me is that everything about you and me belongs to God. That everything that we own, everything that we have opportunity to do in this world is not for our glory, but is to bring glory to the one who created us and who made us at the very beginning of creation in the very image of the divine presence of God. That everything belongs to God. And that because everything belongs to God, everything has to be sacred. Everything has to be beautiful. Friends, I'm sure that there are some folks in our congregation this morning who don't believe that they are sacred. Well, I want to tell you, you are sacred. Because you are the very person that Jesus came to this earth 2,000 years ago to sit alongside and to say there is love and there is hope for you. Jesus challenged those religious authorities, and I believe that Jesus is challenging the religious authorities of our own community here in this church today. Jesus is even challenging me about being stuck in the middle and not being clear sometimes about who I would vote for. I'm not going to tell you. Because I don't want the church to lose its 501(c)(3). And I certainly don't want this church to go through what poor old All Saints went through recently in Pasadena when they were just thwarted by the IRS because they talked about politics from the pulpit. I want to tell you, I think those same IRS people should be looking at what the other folk are doing in their pulpits right at this very moment.
All right now.
I know that there are evangelical churches in our own community not far from where we are right at this very moment who will be handing out packets to their congregation, not just telling them who to vote for, but telling them if they don't vote this way, they're going to hell in a handbasket.
That's right.
2 weeks' time in San Diego, California. Thousands and thousands and thousands of evangelical fundamentalists. I struggle to call them Christians, I have to be honest. But evangelical fundamentalists who somehow believe in white power and that anything else isn't equal. They'll be gathering in San Diego. It's called The Call. If you've really got a good, stern, and good faith, I'm going to encourage you to go to thecall.com and just watch their 3-minute video. If you haven't, don't. I want to tell you, our staff watched it this week. Reverend Pat, Reverend Alex, myself, we stepped into my office to watch that video. It is not pretty. And it certainly is not Christ-like. It is certainly not the Jesus that I know that they speak about.
All right.
And it's certainly not the Jesus. I think that our evangelical churches have given too much to Caesar and not enough to God.
All right.
I think that our evangelical fundamentalist Christianity and many other religions of this world are no longer worshiping God.
That's right.
But they're worshiping something that has been human-made. But I want to tell you, I think it's been man-made. Because often I don't think our women would even stand for what they were going to stand for. It's really been man-made. It's a man-made image of a God that I don't know, and certainly is not a God that I want to preach about. Because what I see of Jesus in the scriptures is a Jesus who just wanted to make people feel that they were important and that they were loved and that they were part of the process. Not that they were part of the problem, but that they were part of the community that Jesus had come to reach to. Stuck in the middle. Today, as folks were coming into our congregation, I was at the back and I didn't get to see everybody, and so you can do this afterwards. But some of the couples that I saw coming into the congregation, I asked them how long they'd been together. And as they told me how long they'd been together as a couple, we had little buttons, and it says, some of you will see that people are wearing them. It says like 9 years together, vote no on Proposition 8. See, I'm allowed to say that. I'm allowed to say vote no on Proposition 8. What am I allowed to say?
Vote no on Proposition 8.